Hey, what's up, guys? What I want to touch on tonight is not only the Idaho 4 case, but the Delphi case as well. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in both cases. You've got the Delphi case where Richard Allen hasn't been to trial yet, and he's been incarcerated in a prison for some time now, and the whole clip of the gentleman walking across the bridge. I don't think it's Richard Allen. I think it's the mayor. I honestly think it's the mayor, the Shane gentleman. But then you have in the Idaho 4 case, there's nothing really new coming out, as of late because the trial doesn't start until next year. They're not having another hearing about the change of venue until the 24th of this month. So there's really nothing new in the Idaho 4 case to discuss, unless you want to discuss the the obvious corruption going on in the case. And I would like to know, guys, you had this interview with Lawrence Jones from Fox News around the time of the unalivings, and he was talking to Stephen Christie Gonzalez, and he made the statement that Fox News would be continuing coverage on the Idaho 4 case, plus any media would be continuing coverage. Well, it's been a year since that interview, and Fox News and the rest of the media stations have just stopped talking about it. The only people who are still talking about it are Nancy Grace and Ashley Banfield once in a while, but Nancy Grace more than others. But I know she's not a journalist or a newscaster. I know she's a commentator. But a lot of the stuff that she's been putting out is very skewed towards Brian being guilty. And I thought this country was about innocence until proven guilty. She has made fun of Brian on her show. She's made fun of Ann Taylor on her show. And I just don't think that's right. I honestly don't. It's that mainstream media bias that's going on with not only this case of the Idaho 4, but as well as the Delphi case. And they say, "Oh, Richard Allen's the man. Richard Allen's the man." Well, I haven't seen anything to prove otherwise that he's the man, because he hasn't even been to trial yet. And they're not being very nice to him in the prison. He's being held in maximum security. I know they're mistreating him, and you can tell they're mistreating him because of how thin and skinny he is and everything else. It just looks like that by the time they make it to trial, he's not even going to be alive because of how skinny he is and malnourished he is. And I want to play this quick video.
America is a nation of detectives today, trying to identify the suspect in this photo and this voice.
13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German were best friends. in the 8th grade at Delphi Community Middle School in Delphi, Indiana, a small Midwestern town consisting of fewer than 3,000
I like it how he calls it Delphi. It's Delphi.
residents, known for its blue-collared workers, avid hunters and fishers, and the annual Delphi Bacon Festival, which sounds awesome. At 1:45 p.m. on February 13th, 2017, Abigail and Liberty were dropped off by Liberty's older sister Kelsey at an abandoned railway bridge, Manon High Bridge, where they planned to go hiking. Liberty's father Derek would pick them up later. There was no set time for the girls to return to their meeting point, and Derek would call them when he got there, which wouldn't be any more than 2 hours. At 3:11, about an hour and a half after the girls had been dropped off, Derek texted Liberty, saying he was just arriving to collect them. Upon arrival at 3:14, the girls were nowhere to be found. Attempting to call and message Liberty again, but getting no answer, he began walking the trails to search for the girls. At 3:30, he called Liberty's grandma, Becky, her primary caretaker, letting her know that the girls were missing. At 4 p.m., Liberty's grandmother, Becky, called her husband, Liberty's grandfather, Mike. He arrived to the trail moments later. The girls' family did not initially suspect foul play. They assumed that they had gotten stuck or maybe gotten lost, or a phone had been lost or broken, and they'd be found eventually. After searching the trails for about an hour, it started to get dark, and the two girls, they were officially reported missing at 5:30 p.m. By 6 p.m., a massive search began. Authorities and over 100 locals began to search the trails throughout. The night. The next day, on February 14th, the two girls.
I would like to know that recording down the hill, sounds kind of like the mayor of Delphi and the fire that killed those 4 children there in Carroll County. I'm wondering if it's maybe connected to Delphi somehow, because strange things do happen there in Delphi.
Were discovered murdered, lying next to each other near the end of the trail, about half a mile from the bridge they had taken pictures on. Officials did not detail on how they died. What they did release, however, was this. Law enforcement stated that the audio recording on Liberty's cell phone started off as normal girl stuff talking and laughing. It wasn't until the man on the bridge appeared that the tape captures the girls becoming nervous and worried. It is theorized that the girls likely saw the man as they entered the trail and forgot about him by the time they walked the bridge. When the man appeared again, the girls may have sensed danger. The bridge is 63 feet high and stands above a creek and the bed of the trail. The bridge takes about 3 minutes to cross. Liberty and Abigail, taking in the scene and taking photos, lingered on the bridge longer. The suspect, who hustled towards the girls quickly enough to alarm them, is what caused Liberty to conceal her phone at her side in her successful attempt to capture the suspect on film. If she had put the phone in her pocket by the time he approached them, it is likely the suspect was unaware of the phone, given the fact it was recovered at the crime scene, and the pictures and video were directly retrieved from the phone itself. At the end of the bridge is a hill off the trail and to the side, which is likely what the suspect is referring to in the audio tape. The bodies were found across the very shallow creek that flows at the bottom of the hill. The investigation into who was responsible for these two young girls' murder was huge. Over $200,000 were raised. A national campaign was launched to provide over 6,000 electronic billboards with information pertaining to Abigail and Liberty's case across 46 states.
If you can recognize this audio clip or this photo, please call this tip line right here below. Please share this as much as possible. From Doug and myself, we thank you. Hoosiers for life.
Over 12 search warrants have been issued in relation to the Delphi murders investigation. Family members and law enforcement appeared on Dr. Phil.
My daughter Abby and her friend Libby were found murdered.
For what? No clue. Two innocent girls walking on the trails, laughing, giggling, taking pictures.
The girls stuck together right up to the end.
It's your theory that this is likely the killer.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I guess based on this and on witnesses, they came up with a sketch.
That is correct. Yes.
And this is the sketch. And but this is based on witnesses saying what they saw of a man there at the time, right?
That is correct.
Yes.
Yeah, that was from an eyewitness person who saw a person that looked like this leaving that area around that time that day.
They received over 26,000 tips.
America is a nation of detectives today, trying to identify the suspect in this photo and this voice. The grainy image and that haunting audio were recorded by 14-year-old Liberty German on her cell phone.
In July, a witness came forward saying they saw the suspect in the area around the time the girls had been murdered. Yet still the case remains unsolved. There were a number of suspects, of course.
Developments. This man
The case still remains unsolved, even though they have Richard Allen behind bars. The case still remains unsolved. That don't make no sense to me.
considered a person of interest in the Delphi murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
Daniel Nations, a registered sex offender. Thomas Bruce, an unemployed former pastor who sexually assaulted 2 women and shot a 3rd one. Most recently, Charles Eldridge. He was arrested on charges of child molestation in January 2019 in Union City, Indiana, and has a strong resemblance to these sketches and photos. However, investigators say it's too early to make a connection and are not calling Eldridge a person of interest. Yet. They're not calling him one yet. As soon as his name was announced on Facebook, people are already pretty certain, it seems.
He looks just like the composite, does he not?
Who knows? Maybe their investigation into Charles Eldridge will finally reveal who was responsible for Abigail and Liberty's murder. Or it will prove to be just another dead end. Hopefully, the families of both the 2 young girls will get some closure very, very soon.
Well, that's a new person of interest. Charles Eldridge. And what I'd also like to talk about is the ladder there at the crime scene at 1122 King Road. For many months, it was just laying sideways beside up next to the house. And then all of a sudden, it was propped up near that ledge. And we know Hunter Johnson was called over there because they couldn't rouse Xana and Ethan. What if Hunter Johnson used that ladder to climb up on that ledge to get in Xana's window when he couldn't gain access through the door of Xana's bedroom? You know, that's something to think about. It just boggles my mind with everything going on in these cases. And, you know, there's a hint of Odinism in the Delphi case. No, we don't know if Richard Allen was connected to the Odinists. Now, I'm wondering if the mayor was connected to the Odinists. Because we know there are some sheriff's deputies there at the prison where they're keeping Richard Allen that wear Odinist patches on their sheriff's uniforms. So it just makes you wonder, guys, if the Odinists are involved in the Delphi case. There just seems to be a lot of strange things that happen there in Delphi and Carroll County. You know, just like the 4 children that died in a house fire, and it was arson. You know, is what they perceived it was arson, but they don't know who set the fire. I guess just chalk it up to one of the many mysteries there in Delphi. Like always, guys, like, subscribe, and comment on my channel. And make sure you share my channel to get it out there and into the algorithm. Hit that bell notification for any new uploads. And check out my Patreon page. That's patreon.com/TrueCrimeCrawl162. And if you're feeling frisky, go ahead and hit that join button for members only shout outs, members only perks, members only videos and live streams. You guys have a good Wednesday night, and this is TCC out.